Let's talk about AI in medicine. Now, is it still a buzzword as everybody says it, or is it truly, or are we truly witnessing it as an impact for medical learning and clinical practice?
Wolters Kluwer as an organization is looking at incorporating technology and AI into an already very well recognized provider of logical content and content that you can actually trust in medical fraternity. So over the last couple of years, we've been looking at solutions across learning, research and care, the entire continuum of medical industry, and how our solutions have also evolved to serve the needs to do justice to incorporating technology into our content platforms. We're talking about features which allow us for interactive smart summaries, note-taking capabilities, sharing of notes across the peer group, and at the same time personalizing and reinforcing the concept and the flow that the student would value and appreciate. Natural language query, which can help you to get to your research objectives or topic that you want to focus on in a very quick manner, and yet not losing the efficacy of evidence-based sources. We're talking about enhanced search capabilities, which allows you to look at using your natural language again to get to the most logical pathway or a guideline that is going to help you in providing the right care to your patient, and at the same time accelerating the speed to which you get your answers so that you spend more time on focusing on patient care rather than searching through the content.
It's a lovely, I think, story to go tell everyone that it's the way future is shaping, and that's the way we have to accept the role of AI in medicine. These intelligent platforms like the Lippincott Medical Education, the UpToDate and OVID, as you mentioned, these are all not just smarter tools, it's the way to enhance learning and research, and they all have to go a long way. Hello and welcome to Medical Dialogues Show. I am Dr. Nandita Mohan, and in today's episode, we are going to talk about reimagining medical learning and research, the role of intelligent platforms. Now, we all know that AI is transforming every facet of our lives, be it from diagnosis to even drug discoveries, the way we learn, the way we teach, and even research for that matter. Now, today, we know that intelligent platforms, for example, the Lippincott Medical Education, OVID, and even UpToDate, how they are all changing or rather impacting the way medical learning and research is going on. Joining us today in this episode of Medical Dialogues Show, we have with us today Ms. Ruchi Tushir, who is the VP and GM at Wolters Kluwer Global Growth Market India. As a key representative of Wolters Kluwer, Ruchi brings deep insights into how these platforms, like the one I mentioned, Lippincott Medical Education, OVID and UpToDate, are reshaping the future of medical learning and research. So I welcome you to Medical Dialogues, Ms. Ruchi. It's lovely to be having you on board here with us today.
Thank you so much, Nandita, and the pleasure is mine for giving me an opportunity to be on this platform. Looking forward to our discussion today.
Great. Now, to begin with, Ms. Ruchi, I know it's a big shot. Let's talk about AI in medicine. Now, is it still a buzzword as everybody says it, or is it truly, or are we truly witnessing it as an impact for medical learning and clinical practice?
So that's a very pertinent question you ask, and I think we're living in such changing times. But let's roll it back a few years ago. And I'm still going to go back to pre-COVID era, or rather the COVID era, which really started showcasing the amount of pressure, stress, and the focus that clinicians, nurses, practitioners, pharmacists had to bring on to themselves to serve the entire patient community. Now, we're 5 years ahead of COVID as a scenario, but the situation of stress, the situation of patient to doctor ratios, it hasn't really transformed that much. There is still an entire ecosystem of delivering more and delivering better. Now imagine AI and technology coming. And all these roles, all these medical practitioners hearing about scenarios which can improve how they serve their patient community and leverage technology to actually provide better, efficient, and most logical care plans. This is where technology comes into place, and I do want to acknowledge there is an excitement in this industry to be looking at AI and technology to support how do they deliver better outcomes for patient. Now, are we there yet is something that we would deliberate more in this conversation, but definitely what we are hearing from the market is how do you strike a balance of first serving this community the way you're doing it right now, given the pressures on financial stability and ROIs for hospitals and medicine as an industry, and at the same time prepare yourself for incorporating these technology on how do you serve patient community. So definitely excitement is there, definitely there is movement happening in that direction, but let's talk more on that. Yeah.
Great, great. That's actually fascinating. Now that we're talking about intelligent platforms, that is our main topic of discussion for today. So if you can just walk us through these platforms like, as I mentioned, the Lippincott Medical Education or even OVID or even UpToDate. Now that we're talking about that in a little bit more detail. So how are these platforms actually shaping the future?
Great, and I'm glad that you're giving me this opportunity to describe how Wolters Kluwer as an organization is looking at incorporating technology and AI into an already very well recognized provider of logical content and content that you can actually trust in medical fraternity. So over the last couple of years, we've been looking at solutions across learning, research, and care, the entire continuum of medical industry, and how our solutions have also evolved to serve the needs to do justice to incorporating technology into our content platforms. So I'll start off first with Lippincott Medical Education, which is starting with the education aspect. And this is the India edition, which has taken leaps and bounds in incorporating AI into the workflow of how do they provide education to students. And I think, Nandita, we have to go a step back to really understand how the education was really happening. We all have, of course, studied in our own streams and colleges, and there was a lot of focus on the textbooks, read what's written there, and then go and give your exams and, okay, come out of it with flying colors. But we are operating in a different world where the students, the way they learn and absorb content is very different. And your tools, your solutions have to match up with that. So LME that I was describing is actually helping us provide those kind of capabilities. The student, how they can take personalized learning paths and not just be one size fits all. You could collaborate a lot more with your peers, with your faculty. You could also do a lot of, leverage of technology to make it more efficient, summarization, or focusing on content that's logical for you. So all these elements are actually a feature of LME. Now moving on to research. Again, I was just telling you that we take immense pride in the kind of content that we have, brought together through these platforms, and OVID, which is our research platform. It is a gold standard in how research content is available to students, to practitioners, to faculty. Now we have taken a step forward to integrate AI into that as well. So what it means is all the summarizations, all the reaching to the right content bases your research objective is much faster, it's much efficient. What this is doing is, it's taking away the challenge of spending hours to navigate to the right content, but actually make it a lot more efficient. And then coming to my other solution, which is, or rather Wolters Kluwer solution, which is UpToDate, which is our clinical decision support system. Again, a fantastic inroads of AI into this particular solution here. And what's happening is we are taking AI in a very responsible manner to provide efficiencies and opportunities to get to the right guidelines in a much quicker and much trusted manner. I can go on these solutions because they're really helping us in the entire continuum, and we are receiving such an amazing feedback from the market as we are making these solutions not just content prowess, but also a lot more on the technology side.
Great. That's actually coming a long way. As you mentioned, education moving on from the years that how we've practiced and then coming forward and getting AI empaneled into those aspects is definitely a real good way of how technology has improved, and definitely we have to be abreast with the latest developments and technology in today's world. That's how we will remain positive, and that's the way the future has to go. Now, so now that we're talking in today's discussion, it's all about learning. It's all about decision making, clinical practice, research and learning. So how do these platforms, that is the LME, the OVID and UpToDate, these support young doctors and students in doing faster and even better research? Now you mentioned that they help students. It is going to go a long way. So what is your say on it?
So I think first and foremost, even before I go into what our solutions are helping the community of students, the practitioners, the faculty to do better research, I want to take a step back to how this entire ecosystem is growing. So I think all of us are aware of One Nation, One subscription, which just happened recently. And we have to really be thankful to our government for making research as an equitable opportunity of accessing content by all the students. And that's a big, bold move in truly establishing that we take research very seriously. And hence, now that the students are able to read, how do we take the next leap or the shift to leverage that read content into producing better research? So I'll come to that in a short while. The second initiative that the government again launched, and this was just about a couple of days back, the research and development, the RDI, which is basically supporting the entire private sector focus into bringing research focus for the country. So almost like 1 lakh crore funds have been set aside to across this program to support the research in the country. Now, given government's focus, given our private sector's focus, we as solution providers can only do a lot more to serve the need that is being created in this market. And with that intent, I am very happy to share that our solutions are already moving in that direction to make it a lot more logical. So let me start off with OVID first on this conversation, which is culmination of thousands of journals, the best-in-class journals that are coming together, clinical guidance, e-books, all of it put together to provide a seamless access to content that can help you do better research. Couple that with the AI integration that we've done on OVID discovery platform, which allows you to now get to that research in a much more logical and faster manner because of the AI inclusion. So summarization, natural language query, which can ensure that you're not wasting time to get to what you need to understand for the research and the content that that is available for you, but move faster in that direction. Similarly, coming on to LME, which is Lippincott Medical Education, and I strongly believe that the baseline of research capability or mindset starts the way you start absorbing learning in your formative years of higher education. So it is our humble attempt to introduce solutions which allow to build that mindset. So students, instead of doing rote learning, start questioning or start understanding that what's the application of the concepts that you are reading in your books. And our LME tool actually provides those capabilities. So being able to discuss certain topics that need attention with your peers, with your faculty in a very note-sharing format on the platform itself rather than doing it on paper and pencil. So imagine the kind of collaboration that's coming. At the same time, leveraging summaries which can make your understanding of the concept a lot more logical and faster is also happening. Then, a question-based approach than just reading and getting ready for your exams, to MCQs, to case-based conversation. These are the mindset or the baseline that a student needs to adopt early on so that they start using OVID as a platform for better research. And we don't stop there. When we talk about our clinical decision support system, we are now empowering all the clinicians who are serving the patients on either in their clinic, in their hospitals, or when they're on the rounds in the wards. how do they leverage a tool which can quickly get them to the diagnosis or the question that the patient is needing a response on? How fast do you, in natural language query, ask that question and get to the response faster? And that too is all evidence backed. So it's not about just bringing in content from non-evidence backed platforms, but a lot of research, a lot of focus has gone on the accuracy of the content. Now match that accuracy of the content with ability to do it faster. So all that is coming in this research ecosystem. And like I said, I feel immensely happy to state that we are actually serving every single element of that journey in the care continuum.
That's actually a wonderful achievement, I would say, and definitely it all comes down, narrowing down to practical application. So once is in the formative years, as you correctly mentioned, if the base is set up right, if the formation is done right, then definitely students are going to get encouraged, and with such platforms, they are going to get encouraged and use it and for better future research, definitely, and it's going to support the young doctors who have to go a long way.
And Nandita, I must say that, it's our attempt to do our bit for the country, and how the government is kind of giving us a lot of impetus, support in terms of really thinking about making this a logical solution-based approach in the market. I also see a lot of good feedback coming from the market. Be it the government institutions or the private sector, we're seeing a lot of positive response to this.
That's actually great. That's actually wonderful. Now, if the response comes, if you get a right feedback, then you know that you're going in the right direction and there's no turning back from there. So now, Ruchi, do you see the Indian institutions and doctors, do you feel that they are ready to embrace this shift? Now we're talking about AI in medicine, the transformation is happening, we are on way. So do you feel that these doctors and healthcare professionals, they are ready to accept this change?
I would say a very resounding yes. But even before I just say yes, I would like to take us back into one of the research that we did recently. And this was done from Wolters Kluwer in collaboration with an independent consulting firm. And this was focused at understanding physicians, clinicians, pharmacists, how do they look at, leverage of this technology into their day-to-day lives. So this was an entire future-ready healthcare survey that we did. We almost interviewed 300 plus respondents, and I'm going to just quote some highlights here, which will address the question that you're asking me here, Nandita. So almost 63% of the respondents said that they do look forward to leveraging Gen AI into their workflows to make it more efficient.
63%?
That's a huge number. Match it up with almost 76% folks calling out that clinician burnout is their top priority to be fixed. Now match it up with 18% saying, while we want Gen AI, but we don't know if there is a stated policy to help them understand how do they implement in their organization. So now you see there's a huge need, but I think we have a bit to do more in terms of how do we incorporate that into our ecosystem. And that's the cue I want to take for India as a market as well. There is a strong response that we have received on these solutions, these integration of AI into our portfolio. At the same time, I think making some structural changes in how these are adopted could take us a long way. What I mean by that is, improving the infrastructure. Our medical colleges are on a very great start, and I absolutely appreciate the investments that are going on by the government sector to make this entire segment a lot more larger and also sustainable and independent. But there are probably certain digital infrastructure issues that we still need to resolve, especially in tier 2 and tier 3s. Then the biggest point is empowering faculty. And what I mean by that is, see, most of our faculty, and they have immense knowledge, but how much have they been introduced to such tools, such collaborative approach of teaching, consuming content, leveraging AI, tech, all of that into their day-to-day lives. So an opportunity for us to leverage that into our an opportunity for us to actually empower this segment could do wonders to adoption of technology overall in medical sector. And the third point is an opportunity for us to also improve the way we teach. And what I mean by that is our curriculums, they have seen a lot of evolution. But is there still an opportunity for us to evolve our evolution in the direction of more clinical based scenarios, practical groundwork, and not just bookish knowledge? So I think this is where all of us can come together and ensure that we are doing our bit to drive the adoption of technology into our medical sector.
So more and more of practical learning going a long way. So now from a student's point of view, we discussed about how students have to create or have to have their base strong and adapt to this new transformation that is going on. So how has AI enhanced learning? How is that? Now we're comparing the two aspects of from a student's point of view. AI enhanced learning from the conventional way a student has grown up to learn till now. So what is the difference, or what changes can we appreciate in this aspect?
Yes, and I think we've been discussing this during the course of our conversation, but to get a little more specific, Nandita, I would talk about how students have typically consumed the huge amount of curriculum that is given their way, and especially in medicine. I think it's a lot of deep learning that is expected out of the students. And how we've done this, we've given them books, we've given them literature. Now go study overnight, midnight, early hours of morning, and come back and talk about it or give your exams. We're moving away from that. So that content, of course, it has a lot of value, but how do you make it consumable? So instead of giving those large books or so, we are giving content which is interactive, which is tailored to how the student should consume it. A student's life cycle or journey is very unique to himself or herself. There may be concepts that they have already mastered, and there may be concepts that they need a little more focus on. And how can this interactive learning be supporting that? So the basis of how you are answering questions, could your content be tailored to focus on areas where you need more understanding? And hence the pathway becomes a lot more logical to student A versus student B. Then leveraging not just the text literature, but also using videos or images into your understanding. It's a fact, all of us are growing on to we're all on social media. We are consuming bite-sized videos to understand things, and we're grasping that very quickly. So why should education be different than that? If everybody in your personal life is used to consuming a 2-minute video and then understanding and moving forward, similarly should be happening in education too. Testing the knowledge of concepts through MCQs or question banks that are tailored to the concept that you need more focus on. So imagine this pathway. It's so different from everybody gets a book, study, and come back and give your exam. And like I was describing to you earlier, Nandita, the ability to do collaboration. There may be student B who understands the concept better than student A. Is there an opportunity for both of them to come on the platform and discuss their thoughts, discuss their understanding, and then make it a lot more logical for student A? Those are real possibilities that are happening on our platform right now. And I think it's only as we get feedback, as students use it more, how do we kind of make it even more logical for students to consume this content.
So that's actually increasing their productivity. So student working in collaboration with each other, that's definitely going to enhance their learning. And it's really good that your platform is encouraging that kind of an update from students, and they're going, learning becomes more practical and fun, I would say, because even nowadays, if we are shifting our education back, if I go to early formative years, Montessori education is getting enhanced, right? So that's more of practical learning and through videos, as you mentioned. So that's how a child tends to retain more and more content rather than the books themselves. So pictorial representation and through videos, that's how learning goes.
And remediation, I don't want to lose the concept of remediation, because that's most important. The concepts are differently understood by different students, and hence concept A, as you understand, you take questions, it tells you, okay, you're still at 20% of understanding the concept, and hence it gives you more questions to understand it better. So it's a very, agile testing environment which allows the student to grasp the concept the way it should be done.
Very well done. So now, last question for me here is, how can we believe what actually comes out of this AI? Now, we know that AI is a big umbrella that we're discussing today. And so what we're discussing about how it's going to transform and reshape the future of learning and research. So what is your take on it?
So Nandita, it's a very important question. And I think I'll just talk about one aspect. Typically when these waves of technology come, everybody wants to rush to it and start incorporating tech, AI and different availabilities of tools as the market is doing. But I think that's where we have to take a pause and also evaluate how are we implementing these technologies into our ecosystem. We at Wolters Kluwer take a very strong stance on creating AI which is responsible. And I want to describe that on this platform too. We are responsible for providing better patient outcomes. And hence, whatever AI is doing or Gen AI is supporting our tools has to be 100% accurate, because human lives are dependent on those guidelines, on those outcomes, and ensuring that we do not take it lightly.
Yeah.
And in that construct, at least the approach that we as an organization are taking, we are building a very responsible AI concept. What it means is, in the entire ecosystem of summarization or using Gen AI, we are ensuring that the clinical community is engaged with us. And they are validating the outcomes that are coming out of these summarizations or Gen AI integration. At the same time, we take huge pride in creating content that is evidence-backed. So we don't want to lose that evidence source. We don't want to lose the accuracy of that information. And hence, even after Gen AI integration, how does that sanctity continue to maintain? So now think of it. We have taken the best of Gen AI, but at the same time, we have not lost the best of content accuracy and content reliability because of our engagement with the clinical community and the sources of information that's coming through. And I'll quote an example of UpToDate here, Nandita. We've taken a responsible AI, then we actually created a clinical, we created AI labs for UpToDate, which ensured that the clinical community and the customers or the users of this are coming together to test. And once we feel confident, we start releasing that into either a Gen AI or non-Gen AI efficiencies too. So it's a very thought through, stabilizing and responsible way of releasing these tech interventions into our content. And definitely this is helping us to improve the workflows, improve the efficiencies, improve the access to right information when you need it the most. So that's where we are.
So that's fascinating, and it's a lovely, I think, story to go tell everyone that it's the way future is shaping, and that's the way we have to accept the role of AI in medicine, how it is going to help the young researchers, young students to actually grow and go into that field of technology, accepting it and culminating it with medicine. So thank you so much, Ruchi, for joining us today at Medical Dialogues and giving us all your valuable insights. We definitely know that these intelligent platforms like the Lippincott Medical Education, the UpToDate and OVID, as you mentioned, these are all not just smarter tools, it's the way to enhance learning and research, and they all have to go a long way. So thank you so much for joining us today at Medical Dialogues.
Thank you so much, Nandita, for giving us this opportunity. Appreciate it.
So that's all for today. Stay tuned to Medical Dialogues for latest updates. Until next time, stay empowered and keep learning.